Howdy, my name is Hannah Wyson, and I'm going to be doing an analysis over 5 environment PSAs. Alright, so here's just an overview of what I'm going to be talking about. So over here on the right, you're going to see the concepts that I'm going to be discussing today. Every PSA that I'm analyzing, I am comparing to the input variables of the McGuire matrix, and then listed below I just have some of the extra concepts that I relate back to each PSA. Alright, so this first PSA that I'm going to be talking about is a part of Clean Up Australia's Clean Up Our Climate campaign. It's a little bit wordy. So here we go. Let's go ahead and watch this for here.
What are they, Pop?
That's the fish. They used to swim in beautiful coral gardens.
The whale, vanished from Earth not long ago, was last seen in the Antarctic region.
They were everywhere once.
What happened to them all?
Alright, so as you can see, that was a glimpse into a futuristic world without animals and plants, and it's a very chilling PSA that encourages its audience to clean up, fix up, and conserve its environment. It is kind of hard to relate to as well because it's so futuristic, I suppose, but I think that what makes it so that you can feel similar to the source is the fact that there is that bond there between the grandfather and the boy. So now we're going to talk about the message. The message is, don't make our environment history. Join the campaign to save our planet. And I would say that this is an explicit conclusion because it explicitly states, don't make our environment history. Join this campaign. So this is a television mass media channel, and in fact all of the PSAs that I'm going to be talking about are. Clean Up Australia works with the community, government, and businesses to provide practical solutions to help us all live more sustainably every day of the year. And because this is their mission, I would say that they tailored the message of this PSA and the source to appeal most to adults with families, while also appealing to older traditionalists who want to preserve nature. Alright, so this next PSA that I'm going to be talking about is part of the Fight Global Warming campaign. So let's go ahead and watch this one.
Severe droughts. Devastating hurricanes.
Our future is up to you. Go to fightglobalwarming.com while there's still time.
All right. Okay, so the source of this message is young children, obviously. And so there two things that contribute to the source are the similarity to audience and attractiveness. So the fact that these are young, everyday children creates the similarity to the audience in the fact that we as humans all have younger siblings, cousins, nephews, and nieces that we look out for and that we take care of. An older audience can relate to this source because this PSA will make adults acknowledge their obligation and duty to look after innocent children. Second, the attractiveness aspect is, in a way, these aren't exactly the most attractive kids. They're very normal. They look like everyday kids, the ones that we would be seeing at a park or going to school or something. So while they might not be the most attractive, their level of attractiveness fully supports the fear appeal in this message because it makes it seem more realistic and like global warming could very possibly affect you and the children you love most. Alright, so this next ad that we have is part of the Rise Above Plastics campaign. So let's go ahead and watch this one. So the source for this message is kind of interesting because there isn't one. There's no spokesperson per se, and instead it's just the visual text at the end that states, 1.5 million marine animals are killed every year. The audience of this message, I would say, are adults who are unaware of the issue. As you can see, this ad never actually states a list of the dangers, nor does it show that Surfrider Foundation is advocating for a reduction on the use of plastics and recycling. This is because this message is intended to spark interest in an audience with low elaboration. The elaboration likelihood model states that elaboration is issue-relevant thinking, and if an audience has low elaboration, the ad must focus on the communicator and use subtle cues to make an effective argument. While much of this campaign addresses these issues, this specific PSA takes the peripheral route and reaches out to an audience that is unaware of the issue. This ultimately can generate a larger following of individuals if the message is truly effective in persuading those who were originally uninterested or lacked knowledge on the subject. Okay, so this next campaign that I've got is part of the recycling campaign, and is sponsored by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
So the source for this message is interesting because it's not a person, and instead it's a water bottle. However, I kind of found that there is this similarity to the audience because it is a woman's voice, and her voice is very calm and nurturing in a way. And her message is, I want to be something more. The way that they frame the source and that voiceover is, it kind of has this maternal tone to it, and she reminds me of my mother. For that reason, I think that it's not necessarily that the audience can relate to being a water bottle, but instead the audience can relate to this dream that she has to do something, to accomplish something, to be something. And along with that, they can relate to the fact that she needs help to get where she wants to be. And a mother also teaches their children to help those along the way and help other people accomplish their goals as well. And so by framing the source in that way, it increases the likability, which in turn increases the persuasive effect. Along with this, I really enjoyed this idea of rebirth. It's kind of saying that a plastic water bottle can be reborn. It can be made into something new, into a bench. But at the same time, this is kind of parallel with how by recycling, we as humans are giving the earth a chance to be renewed and, in a way, born again as well. And I believe that they tailored this to appeal to the younger crowd who travels. Definitely, when you're watching this PSA, the water bottle is traveling all over the nation. By presenting it in a fun and kind of empowering and happy and hopeful way, this message appeals to those who travel, and it appeals to those who have seen those places, because a lot of times those are the people who have the biggest dreams and want to find their place in the world. And so I feel like this message would be even more relatable to those who have that adventurous spirit and desire to travel. Okay, so the last campaign that I have is part of the Don't Mess with Texas campaign.
Ah, George Strait. Don't mess with Texas. 2 Texas icons just like, come on, this jacket. It's custom and it's perfect for fighting litter with glitter. You don't like the jacket. And I like the jacket, but you love horses, huh? Am I right? Look at that. George doesn't like the horse. Of course you don't like the horse. It's a tiny horse. What you need are boots. Because the king of country can't go walking around
Hang
barefoot.
on. I think I got this. Don't mess with Texas means don't litter.
That's a wrap.
Okay, so this is a comical yet informative PSA with an intent to encourage its audience to keep Texas highways clean. The source of this message is George Strait, the king of country and a Texas native. So the credibility heuristic says that expertise and trustworthiness affect the believability of the communicator. Trustworthiness is the person's character and personal integrity, while expertise is made up of competence, expertness, and authoritativeness. The 2 main factors that influence credibility are humor and education or occupation/experience. The humor displayed by contrasting the crazy and somewhat shallow director with the very kind and knowledgeable George increases the trustworthiness in this ad. And the fact that George Strait is from Texas, combined with his calm, cool, and collected energy that he exudes in this commercial, gives the viewer confidence in his experience, ultimately increasing expertise and trustworthiness. Along with this, the likability is supported by similarity to audience and attractiveness. I think it can be hard to get a celebrity to seem similar to an audience of everyday people. Also, considering this ad is a video of a camera crew trying to film a commercial, there's lights, directors, crew members, and videographers everywhere, and this could very easily make George seem more distant from the audience. However, because George is portrayed in a no-nonsense light, and because he is just so relaxed and 100% Texan, there is an attitudinal similarity between him and the audience. This similarity directly affects the likability and ultimately affects the ad's persuasive effect. So one thing that I really liked about this PSA and that really stuck out to me is the fact that there is a ton going on in the beginning. People are scrambling, the director is crazy, there's a shirt, a miniature horse, and boots, and they're all very sparkly and flashy, and everything seems cluttered and messy every time the camera pans to the camera crew. This commercial, though, does a very nice job at contrasting this when the camera pans to George. There's nothing in the background, it's just the clean Texas scenery, and there's no distractions, and he looks so relaxed. He makes the act of throwing the paper away seem so simple, easy, and free. Plus, I feel that this contrast does a good job at symbolizing what a littered Texas would look like versus what a clean Texas would look like. And it does this without actually showing any litter on the ground. This makes this commercial very effective because it avoids the problem of a juxtaposition of 2 conflicting norms: the popular norm that littering is okay on highways, and the prescriptive norm to keep highways clean and to not litter. Alright, so my conclusion is that the 2 most effective campaigns, or PSAs, are the Don't Mess with Texas PSA and the recycling PSA of the water bottle that wants to become a bench. And the reason for this is because they're part of a campaign that has that can be recognized. My additional findings is that there's a severe lack in long-lasting, effective, and cohesive PSAs regarding environmental campaigns. When I was doing my research, it took me forever to find professionally done PSAs. So this is my presentation. I'm sorry it was a little bit long, but I really enjoyed this project so much, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. Thanks.